In this video we are going to try to understand the interesting, unique societal function of a sustainocrat. The initiative was born when a single father wanted his children to grow up in a healthy and safe environment. A responsibility he carried at home and in his neighborhood together with the other parents. Why then was the city unhealthy and unsafe? The sustainocrat represents a new, common story for people and institutions in a region to adhere to. A story that helps transcend all the challenges of our current times. A story in which natural human values are leading, overarching finance or politics. A story in which we recognize, develop and share our existential human wellness together. The sustainocrat is not in system-based politics, economics or business, but connects all these elements together into an overarching nature and human-centered context, with project and results-driven communities, while looking at behavioral science through awareness breakthroughs, participation, evolution and change. To understand this unique and challenging position, we first need to agree on certain aspects of sustainability and shared responsibilities. When we refer to sustainability in our traditional societal context, we tend to address things around us, like material resources, pollution, the climate and other problems. At STIR, however, we define sustainability from a human existence perspective, as a living species in a natural, living ecosystem. After all, we are all human beings. This makes a huge self-aware and contextual difference. From this perspective, we have defined a set of 5 existential values for our human resilience. These can be considered as basic, shared responsibilities of everyone, people and institutions alike. Just like we tend to do as parents with children. When we look at the current situation in the world today, we can see that none of these essentials are met. Some of the core values are, for instance, treated as commercial commodities, not as a shared responsibility. This produces a lot of unbalance and inequality in the world. Others are only dealt with as a cost through expensive remedial activities, such as the ever-increasing healthcare needs or trying to clean the plastics in the oceans. We combat symptoms, but we don't address the root causes. French philosopher Morin stated that, a system that is unable to solve its vital problems either degrades, or develops a metamorphosis. Our current society is fully finance-dependent, functionally fragmented into behavioral silos of self-interests, while managed by powerful global financial lobbies. In view of the deeply intertwined financial dependencies, who can or should take the initiative for a metamorphosis? The overall degradation is visible all over the world, in terms of welfare diseases, warfare, pollution, poverty, refugees, environmental degradation, social disconnection, individualism, more rules and bureaucracy. The question is, are we capable of a metamorphosis? And if so, where or how does it start? Or do we need to wait for the big collapse? At the STIR Foundation, we believe in our human adaptive resilience and wisdom. As soon as we open ourselves to new realities, we then make the necessary changes with passion, sense of meaning and opportunity. The new story then feels as an evolution, not a revolution. That is where the function of sustainocrat appears, as an independent representative of those 5 existential values and community responsibility. The sustainocrat invites all the fragmented local silos of leadership to join and prioritize those existential values into concrete regional programs. Each of the functional silos can step in voluntarily with their own self-interest and shared sense of responsibility. This image shows areas for regional air quality and health. We do tend to get some typical questions from other regions when presenting this engagement method. Question 1. Why would powerful people or institutions accept the invitation and role of a sustainocrat? After all, it is just a local citizen connected to the STIR ideology of human values. The answer is that many, especially in leadership positions, realize that a complex metamorphosis is needed. They are also intelligent human beings. But no one in a formal function can take such an initiative just by oneself. One can say yes to an invitation. A metamorphosis needs to involve all silos, not as an imposition but as a self-aware confirmation of one's own sense of responsibility in the whole picture of shared human values. For many institutions and people, Accepting the participation in something complex is much easier than initiating a complex metamorphosis at societal level by oneself. Often they state, we need to participate to not stay behind. Through participation one can stick to one's own corporate identity and contribution, without having to worry about others, while taking full benefit and credits for joining. These others are at the same table after all. And who can be against human values like integral health? Furthermore, if a key organization does not join, it has something to explain. Question 2. Who pays the sustainocrat? This is again a typical question in a money-dependent world. Which sustainocracy is not? The sustainocrat is not hired by any single institution. Money is a means, just like commitment, expertise, time, creativity, human resources, etc. The sustainocrat is a practical idealist and needs to remain totally independent. He or she represents humankind, not the system. After all, the system has to be seen also as a means, not a goal. The objectives of the sustainocrat, and those that join him or her, are expressed through the core human values, not primarily money. This process is project-driven, formulated together. Budgets and means are allocated according to an interdisciplinary structure that also involves the sustainocrat. Question 3. What status does the sustainocrat have? This again is a typical question in an environment of hierarchies, which this is not. In STIR we consider all human beings as equal. Only functions differ, but these are never dominant over people in a core human values-driven environment. Functions are servant. Equal human beings take decisions together, functions elaborate and execute, not the other way around. The sustainocrat assures that all participants interact on the basis of commitment, equality and trust. No one reports to the sustainocrat, only to each other as a group in the common process. The sustainocrat has no power position, no budget, no office, just partners and a common mission. He or she is holder of the open space that develops essential values-driven projects without impediments of old protocols or rules. The sustainocrat guides the common path to a common values-driven goal. Step we call that. Question 4. How are decisions made if we also have the political democracy and independent business development? The sustainocrat does not interfere with that. Any participating institutional leader or representative is expected to join the table with sufficient authority to back up his or her commitment. Else they should better not join. For instance, yes, we commit to be part of an integral healthy and self-sufficient city or region. And we know we cannot do this by ourselves. It is up to the institution to accept that commitment. If such decisions were made solely by the government, it would often end up in expensive layers of bureaucracy, regulations and even tension with the others. When, however, the large lines of action are developed together, each contributing in their own way, all become supportive. Those that have not joined, do not participate in the projects. Being at the table makes the difference. For instance, if we want an integral healthy city, we need to transform mobility, eliminate pollution, integrate food and nature into the space and social engagement, create circular, regenerative processes. Together we can discuss possible innovations or research questions, and look into who does what. A simple rule states, whatever one can do oneself, one does oneself. What is too complex, we do together. The advantage of doing such big line prioritization together with the different silos is that each can help the others to achieve them. This is what we call crossovers. Also, innovation labs appear in which we engage entrepreneurial students and citizens to further elaborate and test innovations. The environment of values-driven interaction is also referred to as the transformation economy, representing an open space where changes are prepared, old protocols eliminated or replaced by new ones, tested and made ready for expansion in the transaction economy of growth. The open space of co-creation is a warm, constructive, non-competitive and well-integrated environment. It develops purpose, meaning, cohesion, chances and opportunities in a harmonizing way. It contributes to the powerful identity development of a region, in which everyone is involved, sharing the benefits, resolving its issues together. Even all kinds of new instruments appear, such as 4x Win and United. Meanwhile, proactive health is developed as a state of optimal self-regulation. Health on multiple levels is also a formula for peace. Health is the evolutionary factor for development of all life on Earth. Health is not a hierarchy, it is a common denominator, a shared learning process. In a world of mature consciousness, health is a responsibility. And the local sustainocrat holds that space for all, allowing all to be themselves. Healthy regions attract healthy people, enterprises, developing healthy interactions together and with nature around us. Do you feel inspired by health-based regional development, a core values-driven sustainocracy? Or the role of the local sustainocrat? Please, don't hesitate to contact me if a little help is needed.